Hello guys, it's me, Pug Gaming, and welcome back to another video of City Skylines. In this video we're going to continue from the custom built grandstand you can see here that we did last week and add the horse racing track and facilities around it. If you haven't done so already, check out the custom built grandstand and you'll be able to see how I did this in time lapses. Now, as for the grandstand itself, I'm extremely pleased with how this came out. It definitely does give that sort of appeal that I was looking for. And like I say, the actual build for this horse racing scenario, I guess, is actually built based upon the Ascot UK racecourse. Obviously not directly the same because, well, I haven't got all the same parts, but you'll be able to see glimpses of what I'm doing and, you know, where it all matches up. And my favourite part about the grandstand itself is the custom boxes that I created using, well, a various number of props and obviously the Move It mod tool as well. So that really did look and work extremely well for what I was going for. But anyway, that's the grandstand. We've seen enough of that. Let's get on to the build. So as I was imitating the Ascot race course, I wanted to make it as similar as possible. So this first section we're building here is actually the sort of winners podium area. So they've got sort of race seating around it, and this little pathway is where the horses would walk around before entering the middle section to collect their sort of trophies, etc. So that's what I was going for here. And it did take a little bit of time to get to work out what's best to use in terms of well, the gravel around it and the actual pathways. So in the end I decided to go with the footpath around the outside, which looks a lot more realistic. I was trying to find a suitable sort of grass to put in the middle, but in terms of my actual theme, I think the grass itself looks more than sufficient for this middle section. Obviously in the actual build itself, the middle section is very sort of well looked after grass. And what I was doing here is I wanted to create a underpath where the horses come up, because there's actually two places in this build, in Ascot, where the horses sort of come from after they've done the race anyway. There's two sections. You have the sort of area where the horses walk around and make their way slowly to this middle section. So I wanted to have the same underpass as they had to combine the two together. Obviously this keeps everyone away from the horses as well. The only time you can get close to them is obviously in this middle section here, which is gated off. And the little horseshoe area that I've done with the gates, and you'll notice as well these gates are actually custom gates, and they are going to be on the workshop once this video is released, so i.e. now. You'll be able to find those on the workshop, and they were created by the marvellous Armesto. He's created a couple of assets for this particular build, so we'll go through those as we hit them during the build. But those fences are built for the horse racing, so I'm not too sure what else they would suit, but perfect for horse racing. It's got the sort of arched edge around it, as you can see here. So yeah, check those out in the workshop if they would suit anything that you want to do. And here you'll see I'm trying to copy the trend of typical horse racing courses where they have the hedge behind it and the gates in front. And I also redid this horseshoe shape here because it didn't quite look right from the build. And having a look at the actual course itself, this area here is very populated in beautiful flowers and a couple of little trees as well. So we placed these around here just to bring out the colour of this area. And we also do add a lot more flowers as well around this particular zone. It is the most bright and vibrant sort of coloured area in the build, so it's certainly one that draws the attention. And I found a nice little horse racing statue as well to put in the corner. And as I say, what we also do here, we put some more flowers around the outside. So I mean, if you think about this area itself here, you've got the main circle where the horses walk around, and the outside we're eventually going to build a sort of seating standing area above, well, in front of the, well, behind the gates in fact, depending which way you're looking at the course itself. So I wanted to get this down right and sort of get enough space between the two to really allow me to do that. And you'll see I do keep deleting the pathways as well, and that's because I was trying to get the best sort of, well, best placement around it. It was a little bit difficult as well using the pathways, but as you can see here, adding in a few little props of people and the horses really does make this area come alive. And I'll also put down some of those box flowers as well. So yeah, you can really see this starting to take shape, and you can really sort of envisage what's going to happen sort of around this area. Obviously it's going to be filled with people as well in sort of real life. So next up is to add the sort of grandstand, little mini grandstand seating area around. So using the prop line tool, using Move It, I use some of the curbs from the workshop to sort of create a few little layers here. I've seen it, well, I'm sure you've seen it done before by myself and other YouTubers, but it gives that sort of feeling that, yeah, there's, you know, this is the area for people to sort of sit, sit or stand, I'm not too sure, depending on how you look at it, to view this podium area. And the next step now, as you can see, is pretty much laying out the rest of the area. So this area here is going to be some grass areas, and also an areas for people to sit, eat and drink. All sort of built as close as possible to the real thing as I could. As you'll see here as well, trying to create that underpass was a bit difficult. Obviously you have to use roads rather than well, you can use the underpasses, but they're not as nice looking. So we carried that through here, and this is pretty much just a little bit now of me just getting the layout down right. And going back to my earlier comment, this section here is the first area that the horses will walk through when the race is finished. So this is the pre-celebration area. I forget what it's exactly called, but this is the area where the horses first take their sort of routes towards the actual main area for collecting the medals, etc. So that is that bit, and now comes the exciting part. This now is going to be the actual horse track. So again, copying the Ascot layout, it's more of a triangle with a straight, I guess is probably the best way to describe it. So this facilitates all of the races, whether it's the sprint or the hurdles. This course covers it all, and I'm just pretty much using the road here for more of a layout. I'm not going to have the road as the course, and you'll see now what I did is I went round. I didn't catch it on camera because it's quite boring, but I went round the whole of the road with the fences created by Amesto, and we're now sort of at the stage of bringing this to life and making it look actually like a horse racing track. Now most of the tracks do have this gravelly sort of dirt track next to the actual race course, which is where the jeeps and vehicles drive by, and obviously use the cameras to film it so we can watch it on TV. So that's that part over there, and this is now the front part. And I didn't actually realise this, but the front area of the grandstand actually is where people still can stand and watch the actual race itself. I thought it was all restricted to the seating, but it's actually not. Well, not in Ascot anyway. You can actually stand in this front area here, right up to the fence with your drink, and scream out to your chosen horse. And there we have it. So adding a bit of foliage around to make things look a little bit more realistic. I wanted the race course to obviously be the main focal point, so adding in some of this different texture colour grass around the fences and on this field area here really does bring that alive. And another thing I wanted to do here is add some more of the pathways for, obviously, like I said earlier, the vehicles to be driving beside to film the actual race course. So again, copying the layout of Ascot's race course makes things look a lot more realistic. And whilst doing some of the research, I did actually note that the actual area in the middle of the race course is actually where some people are able to park their cars, but in particular in this design I didn't want to add all these cars into the middle. One, it would have killed the resolution, and secondly, I don't think it would have looked as nice as it does. But anyway, moving on, we're now looking at putting down a lot of the seating and food areas. So the main core of it is in these two patches here, and I do make some of this up myself and use my imagination as opposed to copying like for like. And you'll notice the cars are going around, and the only reason that's happening is because I'm trying to get the park generations, or whatever they're called, PPGs, PGGs, whatever they are, to actually work. And the way that I found it to work a lot quicker is letting the vehicles on the road so that people can get out. Not sure if that's the proper way of doing it, but I wanted to have some people around actually walking and moving to make it look a little bit more realistic. If you remember back to my custom build of the outdoor music festival, all the people were standing still. I didn't actually try any of these park generators, so that's why these cars are moving around. I do in the end eventually turn it off so no vehicles can come through, but for the time being, ignore it. So use a combination of different seating and the beautiful umbrellas as well. Just pretty much replicating this and copied the whole thing over to the other section just to speed things up. Now in this section over here, I wanted to create a little bit of a restaurant. So this area here to me will be more of a sort of posher restaurant-y area, as opposed to the first section we just looked at is more of the sort of pub and sort of meeting area. So I wanted to create this and make it look a little bit more pretty and add some extra tables. So combining these outdoor restaurants together to create something a little bit larger really did do the trick, and eventually after we put down some seating outside as well to bring it to life. Now I'm not quite sure what gave me the crazy idea to do this, because it did take a long time, but I wanted to add some people into the actual grandstand. I've got people on the floor, I've got people moving around due to the park generator, so having people in the actual stadium itself, well, it made perfect sense, and it did take a little bit of time. It doesn't look perfect, but it does make things look a little bit more realistic and brings it all back to life. So the only thing that I should have done is probably rotated the colours of people, because at the moment they're all in the line, but hey ho, never mind. Now, another custom asset by Armesto. And this custom asset is the starting boxes for the horses, and they do look beautiful. Built perfectly and exactly how I'm used to seeing them in the UK. Not sure if they're the same throughout the rest of the world, but that worked perfectly for me. And we'll be moving on now to another custom asset, and all of these are in the same prop pack. These are the jump hedges or jump boxes, whatever you want to class them as, and they do work extremely well. So if you want to create your own horse racing track, or you like the look of either of these three items, there is a asset now released on the workshop, and it's called the Horse Racing Track Prop Pack. And like I say, it's created by the amazing Armesto. So check out the link in the description to download this for yourself, and you can create your own horse racing track. And we are now nearing the end of this build. We're doing a little bit of desang here, adding in some plants and flowers around the corners to really bring the area into some sort of shape. And we'll also be moving on to yet another custom build by Armesto, particularly for this build, but it's certainly a model I can see being used in a lot of builds on City Skyline projects. So keep with me, we'll get to that very, very shortly. But in the meantime, you'll see now that some of these park generations that I placed down are now actually they're actually working. I have placed down some prop people as well, because it's not always going to be the case that all of these people are going to come to the areas you want. So to create a bit of density, I've done that, and yeah, that's just brought that to life. And now we're going to be moving on to the next and final part of the build, which is the custom glass house. And look at that, that is what Armesto's done for me. It's the exact carbon copy of the one from Ascot, and what it is pretty much a big conservatory or glass house, whichever you're sort of used to calling it. And what I'm doing here is I'm placing, well, from the looks of it, I'm placing a bar and some chairs and tables on the roof, but that's just so I can get it all down to level, just to make things a little bit easier. So we do that, and then we'll put the people in. And because Armesto's used the proper glass that's been used a lot recently, it's now you can actually see the people through the glass itself. So look at that, that is beautiful. And we put down some wooden floor all around it as well to, again, copy what we actually know is real life from the Ascot course. And yeah, this area here is like another section to the build, an area where you can drink, you can sit, you can again watch the actual horses. So yeah, it's pretty much the end of this episode now. We just finish off with a bit of pathway, adding a few more sort of props and people to the front area of the actual horse racing track, and that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Not much more I can say on this one really. It's been a very interesting one to build. Thank you very much to Armesto for creating these custom assets, and like I say, the link to all of the ones used in the build will be listed in the description below, so you'll be able to download those at your pleasure. And don't forget that the Walking Dead series is back. It's coming back. We are starting to make work and make progress on the Alexandria build. I've got my custom assets built. I've got some time off to do some live streaming. Don't miss out. Make sure you follow, and well, I'm hoping to do a bit of a live stream next Friday, so keep tuned for that. Otherwise guys, I will leave you with these final cinematics. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't done so already, like that button and subscribe. Until next time, I will see you all very soon. Have a good day and all the best.